He called and he just said, Kenny, look, you know I love you. I want you to be a part of what I'm doing here. You just went through a tough deal in Louisville. Take some time, think about it. I want to retire from Arkansas, and I would love for you to be a part of it. We're family.
Associate head coach Kenny Payne is the right-hand man for Razorback basketball.
Let me see those feet. Let me see the feet. Good.
I looked at Kenny and I said, what I want you to remember, you're Kenny, I used an adjective, Payne. Don't you forget that. And I want you to come here and be that same guy.
Payne's basketball journey led him to all corners of the sport, from a player at Louisville and Kentucky to a college and pro coach, including a 10-year stint with Cal at Kentucky, reaching 4 Final Fours and a national championship.
And the Kentucky coronation is complete. Champions 2000.
His ties to the basketball world are deeply rooted in relationships, starting with one of his most meaningful, his bond with John Calipari.
I'm on board to helping you build this the right way and do it with character, do it with humility.
You're making the right plays. You get a little bit selfish, you take something crazy.
You gotta make it.
Building connections is at the heart of everything Payne does, but he's also built a reputation as an expert in maximizing his players' full potential.
Hold on, walk through that. What happened?
If it's just about Arkansas and never addressing their goals and their aspirations, you're missing the boat. The reality of it is, I got to get him to be so locked into what he's doing as a player that he can now step away from himself and buy into somebody else.
Payne's track record speaks for itself, helping players achieve their wildest dreams.
I go to dinner with Devin Booker and his father, and Devin owns a hotel now. And I walk in this hotel and his dad is like, Kenny, Devin owns this. And then to remember the first time sitting down with him and his dad and me saying, okay, what do you want to get from basketball? What are your goals? What are your aspirations? He's done that.
And for this new coaching regime, it's about more than just winning. It's about creating a lasting legacy.
There you go.
We have to build something that's sustainable. That's what this is. It's not a fly-by-night microwave program. It's a long-term, sustained success where every year you're one of the best teams in the country.
How's it been since you got here?
It's been great. The way that this community has embraced us, the state has embraced us, it's been unbelievable. Good people are here that want this program to be very successful, and they care. They care.
It was so bizarre when Cal was announced as the head coach. I'm not sure people still believe it. People walking around still going, is this for real? And I was doing an interview here, and I walked through the men's basketball offices, and there was nothing in there. Not a soul, not anything in any office, not any name on any door, except one thing. There was a bank envelope with all like the stuff you needed for the bank account.
Yeah.
Like I'm guessing it was that kind of envelope.
Yeah.
And it was sitting right there on the receptionist desk, and it said Kenny Payne.
I don't know why I said that.
Is your bank okay? Is your
my
banking
bank
needs?
is good.
Everything's
my bank
taken
is
care
good
of?
as needs. It's all good.
What has this whole experience been like? I bet you didn't think, 8 months ago you'd be living in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Well, for me, when I think about Arkansas, I think about the hatred, the dislike for Kentucky. And being 10 years at Kentucky and watching the battles that we had and how hard the teams played against us, how hard the fans rooted against us and wanted to beat us, and then we're all here. And now we get to fight together. That's the way I look at this.
Yeah, you don't want to be running back any clips from a few years ago, what people were saying about Cal.
Yeah, no.
But now he's our
now
Cal.
we're loved. He's loved. He is definitely loved here.
It also is interesting, though, how our opinions change based on getting to know someone
Yeah,
better.
no question.
You know, let's start with him. Like, what would you tell people that don't really know him, spend time with him, that they may not fully understand?
Just what a genuine, caring person he is. I judge people off, are you a giver or a taker? This man is a giver. He's given his time, his life to help young people, to help communities, to help causes everywhere, not just where he is at that time, but all over the country. And when you have people like that, you want to be connected to that. And for this environment to have, this community, this state to have a person that can bring knowledge to the state, support to the state, a brand of basketball that make people proud, it's a win-win. It's definitely a win-win.
Tell me about the conversation that ultimately led to you coming here.
He called and he just said, Kenny, look, you know I love you. I want you to be a part of what I'm doing here. You just went through a tough deal in Louisville. Take some time, think about it. I want to retire from Arkansas, and I would love for you to be a part of it. We're family. And it's quick, Cal, let me think about it. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. You deserve to go out on the right note. You deserve to, however long you coach, to have success, and I'm on board. I'm on board to helping you build this the right way and do it with character, do it with humility, and let's help how many families we can help and give Arkansas a brand of basketball that they can be proud of.
I think for Cal, just from hearing him talk, it's exciting to have sort of a restart. I'm sure for you, it didn't go like you wanted it to at Louisville, played there.
Yeah.
It means a lot to you. Is there some of that for you too?
Definitely. I think, you look at it and you look at the whole totality of when you took the job, what was happening, where was, it's your school. So it's not just a job, it's an emotional tie, and you're having to clean up a lot of different things, and it takes time. And you could be on the same page on, okay, guys, it takes time, but then when it starts, things change, people change. People, you don't have the success that they think you should have, and they decide to go in a different direction. I was always good with that. I love the university, great people there. I was raised there. It's my foundation. I wish it had went better, but it didn't.
What makes you and Cal such a good fit together, in your opinion?
I think Cal can fit with anybody. It's not really about me, but I just think that when you put people together that love young people, that care, that have character, that doesn't have an ego, and you have one cause, and that cause is to be successful, or that cause is to get to the finish line, or that cause is to win a championship, and everybody's moving in that direction. When you have a group of people that do that, it's special, and that's very hard to do, whether it's corporate America or it's athletics or it's whatever it is. When you have a staff, a group of people, a band of people that are moving in one direction, and it's easy to say that, but that's a very difficult thing to do, and I think we all have that.
As the associate head coach, can you take us behind the scenes a little bit on how the operation works? We see Cal, and we know he's got this great staff, and you're the associate head coach. What are sort of the roles and the pieces? You don't have to go totally in the weeds, but just give us some perspective.
I think it all starts with who are we recruiting, and why are we recruiting them? Are we recruiting kids of character, or are we bringing kids in that are really maybe just good players? We have to bring the right type of kid in here, because the right type of kid will embrace what we're teaching, will know that it's goal-oriented, and not have a perspective that I'm already this player and I don't really need you. I'm just going through the motions because I got to go to college. We don't want those guys. We want players that are willing to learn, willing to grow, have great aspirations. I think people used to say you got a better chance of being a billionaire than you do of making it to the NBA.
Wow.
You got a better chance of being struck by lightning than making it to the NBA. So what they're asking and trying to do is the impossible. We have a track record. Cal has a track record of doing the impossible with young people's lives. Now, in order to make it, and this never really gets talked about, in order to make it to the NBA wants something. They don't want just the talent. They want you to bring a winning ingredient. And that sometimes get lost in the translation of, okay, you only care about the NBA. But what is the NBA? They want players that are winners. And in order for them to reach their goals, winning and being the process is all a part of it. And that sometimes get lost.
Yeah. And that probably has a lot to do with not just making it to the NBA, but staying.
Also,
getting that
definitely
second contract.
staying. You know, there's a reason that there's 70% of the scholarship athletes that we recruited make it. 73 or 4% of those get the second contracts. Those numbers are off the charts. I would like to think and believe that there's a reason for that. We're recruiting the right type of kid.
Well, you're also known. You have a reputation for player development. And that's obviously a part of coaching, but it's also a part of coaching at a different level. When you're getting athletes that have an expectation that they're an NBA player, you know, there can be attitudes, there can be family there are kind of things that come with that. What are the keys, those ingredients to dealing with those players and families and helping them get to where they want to go?
Great question. I think the first thing is earning trust and a belief. They have to believe in what you're about. You have to show them that what you're trying to do benefits them. If it's just about Arkansas, if it's just about where you are, and we as the adults or the coaches are only talking about this and never addressing their goals and their aspirations and their whatever it is they want to do, then they're not going to trust you. They're just not. So it has to seem like we're more about them than we are about this. And then once they get there and they get to see who you are and they get to see what you're about, they get to see that you're carrying men, then they say, okay, I understand. Now I'm about this. I'm about Arkansas. I'm about bringing a different type of vibe to Arkansas. I'm about championships. Let's make these people proud. Then when they come, for example, last week, and there's 200 women for a women's clinic, and they see the enthusiasm and the love for Arkansas basketball, then they become a part of that. That's what this program has been. When you look at the former players that have played here, they're loved here. This program remembers their heroes.
You know, I had a former player. In fact, it's a walk-on. Carter Clark said we were doing the radio show, and he texted in that from the greatest Razorback that you can think of, maybe a Joe Johnson, to me, a guy who never really played here, was a walk-on. Cal has brought everybody together. You coaches have brought those guys together, made them feel part of the program. Yeah. Then you go to the football game, and your players are saying hi to as many people as they can and taking photos. And he said, we've never had that.
Yeah.
What is it about that connection with the fan base and your players feeling that's important to the staff?
Cal is constantly talking about servant leadership. What is it? And I use the word givers. So when you say hello to somebody, then their opinion of you changes. You just talked about that. When you greet somebody and you're honest and you're real about it, and how are you doing today, that may have an impact on them. When we send those kids to the football games, they want to be a part of that. And they want to meet people, and they want people to know that they're good people. And they really do care about other people, and they're good kids, and they're great kids. That is important. That the people in this community, the people in this state know that we're not just bringing in knuckleheads that can really shoot a basketball. We're trying to bring in high character people that can be ambassadors, as you will, for this program.
How do you manage expectations, player to player, as well as them being teammates? because everybody's got their own brand and their own goals, and for a time they're going to be here, and you got to get them to play together.
No question. And that's another great question. I think the first thing starts with they have to feel good about what they're doing for themselves. So to bring a group of young, talented people in and say, forget you, let's just buy into that, you're missing the boat. The reality of it is I got to get him to be so good, so secure in who he is, so locked into what he's doing as a player that he can now step away from himself and buy into somebody else, something else. To do it the other way is fool's gold. A player has to be, if I'm training you and I get you to be better than you've ever been and you feel it and you see it, you become secure in what you're doing. Once you become secure in what you're doing and who you are, now you can give to others. If you're insecure in what you're doing, if you're unsure about you, and you got to hear, you got to make it, you got to make it, you got to make it, we won't eat if you don't make it, then what are you going to do? You're going to...
I don't think that's talked about enough.
It's not.
You don't hear enough about that. Because, you know, we all catch on to the buzz phrases.
Yeah.
You know, think team and all that stuff, which is important. But who you are and developing that as a person allows us to be our best or healthiest self for somebody else.
The best teams are going to be guys that have mastered themselves in some sense, and they can now be secure enough in what they're doing to help the greater good. If you can score 30 and you lose every game, does that really matter? No. If you can score 14 or 15 and your team wins, we know you can score 30.
Yeah.
You mastered that. But let's take a little less so that we win. That's the goal.
You've had a hand in maybe more than 7 players that were drafted in the top 14, you know, a couple of them number 1 overall. When you step back and those guys are in the NBA and on their second contract or whatever, what's the feeling that you get, or what's the relationship you have now? Because I get the sense that it's not just a 1-year, 2-year relationship.
No.
That is like a lifetime situation.
I mean, for me, for example, last week I go to Phoenix recruiting and I go to dinner with Devin Booker and his father. And Devin owns a hotel now. And I walk in this hotel and his dad is like, Kenny, Devin owns this. I'm like, what in the world? And to see where he came from, and then to remember the first time sitting down with him and his dad and me saying, okay, what do you want to get from basketball? What are your goals? What are your aspirations? He's done that. He's done all of that. Devin Booker is a player that, and this could sort of sum it up, his second year in the NBA, he comes to Kentucky, walks in my office, he was like, let's go. Where are we going? He said, we're going to the court. Why? It's already happened. What's already happened? I made it to the NBA. I'm now an NBA All-Star. I'm a max player. It's already happened. Now I just have to open my eyes up and let reality take course. Come on the court and train me like I'm a $200 million athlete. Now, some of that is God. All of that is God. But you were there from the beginning stages all the way to what it is today. That's surreal. That's to be a part of that with not just Devin, Anthony Davis, a Bam Adebayo, a Jamal Murray, Julius Randle, Karl Anthony Towns, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The list goes on and on of these guys that it started with a dream and they knocked it out the stratosphere.
Well, there's stats about NFL players. I think the last one I saw, like 70, 80% of guys in the NFL go bankrupt after their career, within 5 years of their career. And so I don't have it exactly right, but you've seen those. And what's fascinating to me is you're dealing with some people who have never had money. They've never had this kind of stature. And they're learning the whole package so that when they do get there, it doesn't implode on them.
Yes.
And that seems like something that works really well for you guys in recruiting, and then obviously the results speak for themselves.
Well, to your point of what you're just saying there is there's another way of saying it. When we're recruiting them and we asking them, what is your why? If their why is, I want to make it to the NBA so that I live this great life. I want a new car. I want a house. I want a mansion. I want a signature shoe. I want. But when it becomes, I got to take care of my mom. I got to take care of my family. It's bigger than me. I want to uproot my community. I want to lift everything up around me. It becomes bigger than them. That's when it's special. You're not going to be successful if all you're doing is just for you. Again, securing yourself and knowing that you're doing this to help not just you, but everybody else around you.
Kenny, you had a successful career. You played in the NBA. You played overseas. We mentioned you played at Louisville. You started your coaching career under Ernie Kent at Oregon. You had a stint coaching in the NBA. You were a head coach. Coached a long time, maybe a decade with Cal at Kentucky. Let's go all the way back. How you grew up. I just want to learn a little bit about you. Where did who you are? Now we're talking about you developing all these other people.
Yeah.
Who developed you along the way? Maybe all the way back to your childhood. Give me some pillars.
Great question. Not many people have ever asked me that. I grew up in Laurel, Mississippi, about 15 minutes from Hattiesburg, where the University of Southern Miss is. And my base, my foundation came from my mom and dad. My dad's an educator, teacher, writer, has written 13, 14 books. My mom was a hardworking, worked at the postal service, and got a lot of whoopings. But they taught me to put God first and to trust. And so those lessons basically led me to Louisville, where we trusted Denny Crum and a guy named Wade Houston, which led me to the NBA, which led me to getting in the coaching business. Growing up the way that I grew up, very similar to this town, maybe a little more rural than this town, but to grow up with people that when they graduate high school, they go work on the plant or at their farm, chicken farm or wherever. I got to see that. And so I didn't have examples of lawyers, doctors. There wasn't that. And so for me to be where I am today is a blessing. It's a blessing.
How'd you meet Cal along the way?
Great question. So Cal hired Milt Wagner, who was my college teammate. And when he hired Milt, I was going back to school to get my degree at Louisville. And Cal invited me down. He heard about me taking these classes full time. And he said, Kenny, won't you come down and be a part of a coaching clinic that was basically an NBA coaches clinic that him and Larry Brown put together. And there was 40 or 50 NBA coaches. And it's invitation only. And every college coach or every coach that's coaching anywhere wanted to be a part of this clinic. And they embraced me. I wasn't even a coach. To stand in front of those guys and Cal say, and Larry Brown say, stand up, Kenny, give him a standing ovations for getting his education, for graduating. Surreal, which led to Mike Woodson, who was on Larry Brown's staff, and Larry Brown, when they won the championship at Detroit, inviting me down and being a part of their coaching staff and learning from them, just watching and learning and just sitting in the office watching film, which led to eventually getting a coaching job.
Man, so, Cal just collects people, huh?
Yes, yes.
So tell me a little bit more about, just from not necessarily an X and O standpoint, but we've been through the player development. What's your role on the staff besides player development? Like when you're in a game or practice, what's Kenny Payne doing?
Well, I would say that my first job is to help the kids get through whatever they need to get through. So this game is full of emotions, right? The best players have to be even keel. If you're going through the emotions of the highs and lows of a game as a player, you're lost. So the first thing is to get them to approach it even keel. So what is bad right now? We know it's going to be bad. We talked about it. We prepared for it. Now let's turn the switch on and make it good. Along with that, basically helping players get through a game and play their best is being an assistant to Cal. So seeing things that Cal may not see, or throwing something out, ideas that he may take, he may not take. Just being a support for him so that the goal is to win. The goal is to make sure these kids play their best, and they play their best together. That's pretty much it, whether that's offense, defense, rebounding, getting them to see things that, here's one for you. The best offensive teams aren't going to be the best shooting team. That's why offense isn't predicated on shooting. The best offensive teams are going to be the teams that pass the ball the best. Probably going to be the best passing team. When I look at Golden State when they were winning championships, everybody saw the three. I saw what happened before the three happened. I saw the penetration, kick, pass, drive, wide open three in rhythm. That's pretty much where this game has went to. You got to be a great passing team. We got to work on that. We got to be a great spacing team. We got to work on that. We got to, in order to be a good basketball player in a basketball team, the ball has to get to the paint. If the ball stays on the perimeter and just shooting, and the ball never penetrates and makes teams collapse, you're probably going to take a tough shot.
Yeah.
So you have to move the ball. You got to get it in the paint. Got to make extra passes. And in order to do that, you got to be in tune. You got to see plays sort of before they happen.
Since we did offense, I just feel like we got to do defense.
All right.
So what's that side of the ball?
To me, I think Cal's best teams have been every dribble is hard. Every pass is hard. Every catch, you're there. You're occupying their eyes. When the shot goes up, we're either contesting or we're rebounding. Where every possession is difficult for you to dribble it, pass it, shoot it, and we get the rebound. And that's pressure. In the old days, you can relate to this, Nolan Richardson, 40 minutes of hell.
Yeah. that was all the time. So, Coach, I got to ask you, are you on the phone all the time? Because every time I see you, I'm pretty sure you're on the phone. I don't know if it's recruiting, scouts,
it's
other
all
coaches.
It's all that. It's picking the brain of other coaches, talking to NBA people about players, recruiting, other people's recruiting other coaches, what they're doing, what philosophies are they implementing and what they're doing in their program, NBA coaches, all of it.
It's a lifestyle, huh?
It's 24/7.
So what's your impression of Razorback fans in Arkansas as a state? You guys are getting out, you're doing the exhibitions, you've been in other places, meet and greet type things.
I've been thoroughly impressed. I love that these people are just good people. I think that's vital. This community, this state, I've been impressed by how many good people, just good, solid people like yourself, that are just nice people. Yeah, they want to win. And I'm watching the football stuff and I see people jump on and off the bandwagon. They're emotional over it. But overall, they love their Razorbacks, and that's important.
Yeah, it's important to the state, and it's the most talked about thing in our state.
It is the state.
Razorback sports, yeah. The whole program, from my outside view, feels like it's just there's got a professional aura to it. The whole vibe just feels like bigger.
Yeah.
How would you describe your basketball program that you're running with Coach Calipari? How would you describe that to somebody that was just like, what's that really like?
I would say the first thing is understand that it's a process. Don't get caught up in the wins and losses, because we don't. If the finished product is going to be a month from now, 2 months from now, then we haven't done our job. We have to build something that's sustainable, and we're building it. It's not already finished. And with it, it's a lot. John Calipari brings a lot of notoriety, a lot of attention, a lot of flair, a lot of everything that comes with a program. He's bringing that here. So everybody in the world will be watching. The whole country will be watching Arkansas basketball. With that, we have to be patient. We have to know that we are coaching kids. And when you're coaching kids, sometimes the best teams that we've had, November, it didn't look good. December, it didn't look good. January, oh, something's a little different. February, it's like, oh my goodness, this is a real team. March, it's ridiculous. Final Fours, Elite Eights. Now, when you're able to do that year after year after year, and let's say 2 years from now, every year you have the opportunity to be one of the teams that's playing for a Final Four, or 3 years from now. That's what this is. It's not a fly-by-night microwave program. It's a long-term, sustained success where every year you're one of the best teams in the country. And the other thing that this fan base needs to know is that it's been built on regional. You know, Texas, Arkansas, Mississippi. We're going all over the country, all over the world if we have to get the best players that fit this program.
I ask everyone this, that we, like a coach, player that comes on and we do this Hog Pod with, when Kenny Payne's time at Arkansas is over, whenever that is, how do you hope that Razorback fans remember you?
I would hope that they felt like a good person, humble person, God-fearing man, love young people, love the kids that I work with, love this university, love this community, positive influence on everything that I was a part of.